What is up, ladies and gentlemen? But most of all, you ladies out there, thanks for clicking on another episode of Break the Silence. I am your host, Cyborg, and we got a banger for you today, and I'm pumped to be here. We're talking a little New York Knicks basketball, which is something we haven't got to do yet on this channel because this channel started to exist in the playoffs, and that is often when the New York Knicks do not exist. The New York Knicks got a new big three, and I am pumped to talk about it. But first, take a second to like and subscribe to the channel. We're growing at a rapid pace. We got so much free agency news coming out in these next couple days because free agency officially opens tomorrow, June 30th. I'm recording this June 29th. And there's going to be a ton of breaking news, and I'm here for all of it. As NBA fans, what do we want? We want Kevin Durant to the Celtics, and we want mass chaos all across the NBA. That's what we're hoping for. Mass chaos, trades, big names, going everywhere. Free agents signing with places we didn't expect, making new teams relevant, making good teams bad. That's what we want. That's what we're excited for, and that's what we tune in for this time of year when there's not a lot of sports on. So please take a second to like and subscribe to the channel because we're going to be covering it all. I want to start for a second with some of the big free agency moves we've seen so far. Honestly, or lack of moves, I guess. The first big one, Kyrie Irving decides to stay with the Brooklyn Nets. Now, if you watched 2 videos ago, I did a whole reaction on some trade proposal that had Kyrie and Seth Curry going to the Lakers, the Nets getting John Wall and a first-round Lakers pick, and the Rockets getting Russell Westbrook. And I got on there and said that that was complete and utter nonsense. And the reason that I brought that up is because that was on Bleacher Report, it was a televised, not televised, it was all over social media that this trade is a potential possibility. And I said that's complete nonsense. Kyrie will stay with the Nets. And that's exactly what happened. So here on the Break the Silence with Cyborg show, we're not getting into nonsense. We're going to tell you what is realistic and we're going to evaluate things for how they are. And I'm pumped to continue to do so. So then the other big thing, Westbrook decided to stay with the Lakers, obviously picking up his $47 million option, which makes him a top 4 highest paid player in the NBA. I don't remember what number it was off the top of my head, but he was top 4 in the NBA. And obviously you're picking up a $47 million option no matter, the circumstance, unless you're Bill Gates or something like that. And the final big move, John Wall was bought out by the Rockets. Now, it was reported today, actually about an hour ago, that they bought him out for $6 million less than he was set to make. So I think that makes it to where they paid him about $40 million to leave, which is just wild. If any job ever wants to pay me $40 million to leave, please hit your boy up. But John Wall didn't sign with the Clippers, which should be a really interesting squad next year. You got 3 players who at one point have been, top 10 players in the NBA with massive injury concerns. So it'll be interesting to see how they all play together. If you're a betting man or woman, I wouldn't bet the Clippers. Now, I'll release my official predictions when we get a little closer to the start of next season. But personally, I would be a little nervous with the Clippers because of all their injury concerns. I just don't know that I would put my money there. But let's get into the topic at hand. The New York Knicks have just formed their new big three with Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, and Jalen Brunson. A big three that truly gives a new meaning to the term super team that rivals James Worthy, Magic Johnson, and Kareem, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, LeBron, Bosh, Wade, KG, Pierce, and Ray Allen. The Knicks have finally landed the future of their franchise in the 17th best point guard in the NBA, signing him to a 4-year, $110 million contract. Now, as of recording this, it has not officially been signed, because none of these contracts have officially been signed. But it is widely reported that the Knicks are trading everything so that they can open up cap space for Jalen Brunson. Now, if the trade doesn't go through, I look like an absolute idiot. And in that case, this video might get deleted. But I think it's going to go through. The New York Knicks are in one of the weirdest spots I've seen in a while, because during the draft they traded out, or in the last week, traded Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel to the Pistons so they could clear the way to sign Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is a solid NBA player, and I know I'm clowning a little bit here. I'm clowning quite a bit. I really didn't expect to do that much. But Jalen Brunson is a solid NBA player. But to me, he's not $110 million good of an NBA player. Jalen Brunson last year averaged 16.3 points, 4.8 assists, 58.3% true shooting percentage, and shot 37% from three. Jalen Brunson is 6'1", 190. In comparison, I am 6'1", 187. So Jalen Brunson and I are very similar in size. So if you're the Knicks, what is your thought process for this signing? Now, the thing that I think the Knicks have struggled with so much is that they're so desperate to put a good product on the court that they're throwing money in places that you shouldn't be throwing money. Now, Julius Randle last year, not this year that just happened, but the year before, was a nice NBA player. He was an all-star. But you can't give him the extension that you just gave him. He hadn't proven to be worth that. Jalen Brunson had a nice year. Not a good passer, pretty small, so not great on defense. But against the Jazz in the first round of the playoff, averaged 27.8 points. And was also low turnovers. He did average 4 assists in the playoffs as well, for whatever that's worth. Now, if I'm the Knicks, what is the thought process? They're under new management in the last 5 years. A gentleman named Leon Rose, who was an agent before he joined the New York Knicks. And the way they had been building the team, he has not really made a good move since being there. They paid Evan Fournier way too much money, and everyone in the world sees that. Julius Randle way too much money, and they can't get off of that contract. They just had to trade Alec Burks, who's a nice little player, and Nerlens Noel, who, okay backup center. And you're paying a lot of money to Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Evan Fournier. You traded for Kemba Walker, who's now gone, and Derrick Rose. So I don't fully grasp the direction of the Knicks. You're going to have to sign RJ Barrett to a decent contract next year, and they will. The Knicks thought they were clearing cap space in 2010 or 11 for LeBron James, and LeBron James then decided to join the Miami Heat. They also thought they were clearing cap space for Kyrie and Kevin Durant, and they ended up with Julius Randle. Again and again, we see the Knicks clearing a bunch of cap space, trying to build this squad. And they have one of the worst directions I've seen in the NBA. And you can't just say that no one wants to play for the Knicks because of their owner. When you look at a lot of teams in the NBA, they're built through the draft. And you might say like teams like the Lakers or Miami Heat get big name free agents. Yeah, the Lakers and Heat do. But who's the last two champions? The Warriors with Steph, Draymond, and Klay, all drafted. The Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis and Chris Middleton, drafted and traded for Drew Holiday. So none of those guys are free agent guys who decided to join there. So you have the ability to build your roster. In fact, even the Celtics were mostly all drafted guys aside from Al Horford. So who they traded for. So you have opportunities to build your team even if the owner's not great. So the Knicks, the one thing I'll say is that with this signing, they did set themselves up to be able to sign a max contract player and have Jalen Brunson as their complimentary star. But what you can't have is you can't keep signing Julius Randle's, Jalen Brunson's, guys like that, because do any of us truly believe that Jalen Brunson is the second best player on a championship team? I don't. Jalen Brunson, again, a nice player. But I don't know that he's probably closer to the fourth or fifth best player on a championship team. So it's just interesting when you look at the direction of some teams in the NBA. And you're always trying to think of it, if you were an NBA GM and being put in a position today, one, what would you do with the team? And where's the direction headed? If you're the Knicks, I don't know where you're going. You got some old guys that you're signing to you got some old guys you've traded for in, Kemba Walker, Derrick Rose, just signed Julius Randle to a big contract. And then you got young guys like RJ Barrett. Obi Toppin is supposed to be, a valuable asset, but they haven't even used him yet because Tom Thibodeau won't play him. Tom Thibodeau doesn't like playing young players. So it's just interesting to see the direction of the Knicks. If I was a Knicks fan, I would not feel great about where we're headed. As someone who's not a Knicks fan, I think it's pretty entertaining to watch Knicks fans be so devastated, which they always are. They're kind of like the Cowboy fans of the NBA. But that's all I got today. We just talked about the Jalen Brunson thing here. We got so much more free agency news to get to, so please take a second to like and subscribe. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep grinding, and I'm pumped for you to come along. Sabrogao.